Good morning, Sheila. How are you doing today?
Wayne, I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you very much. And
Good.
welcome everyone to 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we explore the fascinating world of verbs and their impact on our daily lives. Join us each week as we delve into the different ways verbs shape our language and influence our lives as we attempt to make a positive difference in our world, one verb at a time. And Sheila, hey, I I must apologize to all of you. I messed up last week. I did not ask Sheila and I did not present how you can reach out and get a hold of us. Sheila, how can our listeners find you?
Thank you for asking, Wayne. I can be reached at zekeandsheila@yahoo.com.
And I can be reached at wayne@mindsinking.com. And yes, send all of all those nana. You messed up to me, okay? Not to Sheila. It was my fault. So that's wayne@mindsinking.com. That's MINDSYINCING
There you go.
.com. And Sheila,
Good.
hey, do we have any trivia questions today?
I have a trivia question today, and I think you do too.
Oh, I do. I
That's
do.
the only thing we talked about before the show started in reference to the show here. So here's mine first, and I'll answer it at the end of the show, and we'll answer yours at the end of the show too. So, who owns the go.com web address? That's the question,
Oh,
which we'll answer later. How about yours?
okay. My trivia question is about the game Go.
Okay.
And it says Go is the oldest game in the world still played in its original form. How old is this game?
Mm,
Ha. And for those of you
okay.
who don't know what Go is people say it's one of the most elegant, brain-burning, abstract games in history, with
Mm.
players trying to claim territory by walling off sections of the board and surrounding each other's stones. So how old is that game? All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And Sheila,
So,
what is our verb today?
you might have guessed by now if you're listening, our verb is to go. And I've got a few definitions here, and you no doubt have more. But my
Ooh,
first and main one is to move from one place to another.
okay.
And then another one is to say, which I thought was curious. And then the third one I have is to leave a place and do something different.
Okay. And mine are, I stopped at 13. There was
Oh
about
my
15 or 6.
goodness.
There's
Wow. Oh,
about 15 or
all right.
16. I said, wow, this verb is really popular here.
I'm
So,
ready to start writing. Go ahead.
okay.
Get it? Go ahead.
To travel or move to another place, to be in the process of moving, they're
Mm,
all similar here.
okay. All right.
To move or travel somewhere in order to do something,
Mm-hmm.
to leave a place, especially in order to travel to somewhere else.
Okay.
Here's one. If a road, path, etc. goes in a particular direction, it leads you there.
Uh-huh.
And it says go from something to something else.
Okay.
Here's one that's funny. To continue for a particular length. I'm like, okay, well,
Oh,
how long is that length? But you just go. It's much like Forrest Gump started walking, right?
right. Yes. Yes.
And he stopped when he was ready to stop. Okay, to intend to do or be something in the future. I liked that one.
Mm-hmm.
To be certain or expected to happen in the future.
Okay.
This one was just eloquent. To become.
Ah, okay.
And I like, and here, I'm just going to say this last one and then I'm going to move on, but to operate in the right way. And I thought,
Okay.
okay. All right. So that's
Yeah.
11 of my 13. Yes. All right.
Some of them are
So
very thought provoking.
they are to become. When we talked about this verb last week, when I pulled it out of my gelato jar, what were your thoughts on go?
I thought that, first of all, it can be used as a very active verb, and I assumed that we would be able to find a ton of stuff about this verb.
Ah,
How about
and
yourself?
you're saying you assumed that we could. Did you?
It was hard actually to narrow it into something to talk about, to narrow it down into something to talk about. I found, but then I found my path and it got easier.
And I, like you, it was omnidirectional. It was just
Mhm.
go everywhere. And I'm thinking,
Right,
okay, I'm not doing that one. I'm not doing that one. I'm not
right,
doing that one.
right.
Um, and I tend to lean towards the professional and personal side.
Yes, you
So
do.
I was able to gravitate towards that. And oh,
Okay.
I have some things. Yes. So, anyway, um, yeah, it was fun, and it was
Good.
very, very laborious going through trying to find all the other things, particularly starting with those 15 or 16 definitions of the
Right.
verb,
How do you even start to narrow that
and
down?
then it was interspersed with all the nouns
I was going to say
of
it's
go.
always a challenge for me to stick to the verb and not to turn it into a noun and go that way. And I failed that on some of my topics here, as you'll see.
Oh no, okay. All right. Would you like to start us off?
Well, sure. One of my favorite, I'll tell you about my favorite path was I got on the track of idioms,
Oh,
or also known as proverbs or expressions, but they're a group of words that have a usage that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as the words individually.
okay.
So I'll give you an example of some of my favorites that use the word go. You will go places, which means you'll make progress or succeed. Uh,
Ah.
go back to the drawing board, which means
Ooh.
start over what you're doing is not working. Do not pass go is, of course, from the game Monopoly, which means you don't get a reward when you start over.
Uh-huh.
Um, go on a wild goose chase, which is to do something pointless, even if you didn't think it was going to be pointless when you started. To go down in flames, which is to fail spectacularly.
I have done that.
It's the only way to fail, I think. So, two more here. Go big or go home, which is to try to your best to be bold and brave. Not so good if if you're gambling, not the wisest choice. And then finally, and only because I ran out of space on the page, not because this is the last one, go
Aha.
for it, which
Oh,
means put your maximal effort into achieving your goal.
I like those.
I did
Yes.
too. I found them very energizing and positive.
And it put a smile on my face.
Oh, good, good.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. I have lists from my professional side and the personal
Yes.
side, and I'll just kind of start with the professional here.
Okay.
Um, and this is more like a aircraft taking off or making that at getting to that decision point of go no go.
Oh, good.
Yes, yes. So, and I'm sure people have done that before in themselves. It's either you go or no go. Again, we're back at that intersection. And I'm getting ready
Hmm.
to turn right. Here come some cars, and you get to that point where okay, I can go now. No, I better not go.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Um,
Better to err on the side of conservation in that scenario.
I understand. Yes. And here's one that's the opposite of the monopoly: do not pass go, do
Oh,
not
okay.
collect $200 kind of
Right.
thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, I like it when your boss or the team lead or whomever is kind of like heading up the group and says, "Go, get it done."
Oh,
Be-
yeah, that's trust and
exactly,
confidence in your skills. Good.
because you brought ideas with recommendations
Hmm.
on how to do it, how to accomplish it, how to get it done. And the boss or the team lead, whomever that person is, decides, okay, I this is something that I can support. So yeah, go get it done.
Super.
I've done that in many things. I used to be in high school and in some college. After a little college, I did some acting, and it was all the set design. I love to do set design.
Mm-hmm.
And the director would say, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this." And he's very splashy and very flamboyant and very active with his hands, and he's showing
Hmm.
us the big picture by waving his arms and doing this. And he says, "Yeah, yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that." And three or four of us get together. Oh, well, we could do this. He go, "Oh yeah, I like that. Go get it done. Go ahead, go."
Good.
and and it's always cool because, as you said, the trust and the confidence that we
Yes.
have, and the trust that we have with each other, and the trust that he or she gave us,
Hmm.
gives you liberty to do it. Now, knowing that that's very simplistic because there's a time limit typically, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
budget, so you
Right.
don't
There
want to
is
overspend.
that. Yeah.
right? You don't want to
Yeah.
overspend, you don't want to overbreak. But when they say go get it done, hey, you are carte blanche. Go get it done. I like that.
Was there a
Yes.
TV show that the line was "Make it so"?
Oh, is it? I never
Yeah.
saw that.
Okay, I'll think about
Huh.
that one.
Okay. All right. Professional again.
Yes.
Um, go get it done. Under that, I have some subtitles here. As I have said before, I always wanted the ball. I wanted the give me coach, boss, give me the ball.
Yes.
Give me the latitude to go ahead and do this.
Hmm.
And go, okay, Wayne, go get it done. Yay. I loved that. It was
Yeah.
good. The best way to predict the future. Do you know the best way to predict the future?
Look at the past.
Invent it.
Oh,
I
got me. Okay,
a
good. I
lot of
like
people
that.
have said that. I don't know who was the first one to coin that phrase, but the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And I mean, think of Orville and Wilbur Wright. Think of all the people
Right.
who have thought up things, done patents or whatever. They've dreamed about it, thought about it, and they created something, and they just made it happen. Um, okay, I think we could do that on our path too. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, there's some realism that has to be
Yes.
played here, but um, I was just watching the news the other night, and it was about a young who was she? Was she um no, it was I was watching wrestling. It
Oh.
was a wrestling match, and it was the U.S. team being made by, and they were in the finals, so the winner of
Mm.
each of the matches was going to be on the U.S. team. And this
Oh.
one young lady, she's going to be on the same team as one of her idols as she was growing up. She followed this woman who was a wrestler, and she said, "You know what? I dreamed big, and you got to dream big." And she says, because the commentator asked her, "Well, how do you feel? You've won your last match. You're
Mm.
on the team. How do you feel? And you're going to be on the same team as," and I don't remember the woman wrestler's name. "You're
Mhm.
on the same team as your idol. What do you think about that?" She says, "I dreamt this all my life, and I thought I could do, and I always wanted to do it. And you know what? I always saw myself on the
Oh,
team."
good,
So
good talent.
I saw that.
I mean, that's a good tool.
It is. It is. So the best way to predict the future is to admit she saw herself on the team. She
Hmm.
placed herself on the team, and she said she had worked so hard to get there. And what I really enjoy about her message and a lot of other people's messages that you hear, who they have gone on to do good things, great things, they always talk about the hard work. They talk
Mm,
about the stuff that we don't see. And as
right.
individuals, if we all just kind of put that in the back of our mind, it's going to be hard work. We can't have, it's not instant gratification, right?
No, it is never or rarely.
And I see too much going on today where people just, oh, I want to be able to do that today. Well, you can't.
Right. Right.
You can't. So anyway, the professional, go get it done. Do the homework, do the coursework, do the exercises, do the whatever, and be that person. One last one, and then I'll defer to
Yes.
you. Convey the big picture so all can visualize it and help everyone understand the value that they bring to accomplish the task at hand.
Mm,
And that's so important. When you have a team of individuals working on a particular product, not everybody can be the painter.
right.
But there has to be someone who can get the appropriate materials, who can order those kinds of things, who can go out and say, oh, well, what kind of material do you want for this? And the person says it has to be ribbed, and it's got to be soft, or it's got to be firm, and you got to have talent who can go out and do those kinds of things. And then you got to have people who can put it together. Well, how do we put this? Do we do it with do we weld it? Do we mold it? Do we put it in a kiln and heat it up? Uh, because one person can't do everything. And I like I like to think about all the ideas I had, and I would share them with people, and I would go, oh wow, wouldn't it be cool if we did this and this and this and this? And people would tell me, oh well, that's not even practical. You can't do that. And
Oh,
I remember 100 years ago, I said, hmm, someone should start a business because I saw all these individuals who could not get to the grocery store. I said,
Right.
someone should start a business going and doing shopping for people who can't get to the grocery store. And someone said, that's a stupid idea. And look
Okay.
what's happening today.
Can I can I tell you years okay, no, that's a story for another day. I'm the one who said it couldn't be done, and it's been done spectacularly. Not for that issue, but you don't want me in your focus group unless you can do the opposite of what my opinion is. So,
I'll stop my list from there, and
okay.
because wow, it took up way too much time.
Well, I'll jump in here and talk about I love looking up research on our verbs. And
Yes, you
I
do.
did find one that referenced the go verb. In May 2019, Duke Fuqua, I'm not saying that correctly, but it's the School of Business at Duke, sponsored some research. And the title of it is of the article summarizing it is research shows being a go-getter comes at a cost. Now, when I think of go
Hmm.
getter, I put this in the professional arena that you like to talk about. And it's a person who gets things done and
Yes.
gets them done efficiently and promptly and then moves on ready for the next task. So this article said that it's great to have high self starters or people who have a lot of self control, another way to describe the go getter personality, but that the potential is to load higher expectations and more work on those people.
Mm-hmm.
So they surveyed 403 employees, excuse me, and for each of those five supervisors and coworkers, and those with high self-control, however they measured that, made more sacrifices at work and felt more burdened. Although when they interviewed the supervisor said, yes, they made more sacrifices, but I don't see that it looks like a burden to them, which
Mm.
is kind of curious. So so from the
Huh.
individual employee standpoint, they're doing more and they're not happy about it.
Yes.
And the bottom line is, people rely on you, but they have to see the cost for you. So if you, as the supervisor or manager, are relying on a go-getter, make sure they feel appreciated and do something to acknowledge the sacrifices that they are experiencing for that. And a
Absolutely.
raise would be nice as a starter, starting point.
And just a pat on the back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
Yes.
Just appreciation. Yep.
Absolutely. Gosh, it's amazing what is done behind the scenes,
Yeah. Or
and
not done.
or not done. And I think we can see that. But in many things, think of a production of
Back to the stage.
back
Yep.
to the stage. Yeah, I mean, there's so much time and effort and energy that goes into
Mm,
all the practices, the costumes,
mm.
the building the sets, the lighting, the click
Rehearsing.
lights,
Yes. Yep.
rehearsing,
Yep.
getting
Yep.
all that done. Um, and the audience gets to see, oh, this finished model, and they go, wow, wasn't that cool? Well, there was hundreds of hours, probably hundreds and hundreds of hours that have gone
Right.
in before that happened. So yeah, and same things at work. The same thing at
Hmm.
work.
Hmm.
You just plod along and do what you do every day, and boom, there's a finish line. Anyway,
Hmm.
yes, we need to course correct as needed. And
Okay.
course correct is gives the assumption, and like any good idea, you should start with a plan. Now
Right.
that plan can change, and it
Yes.
absolutely will, but you
Yes.
have to start with a plan, and you start with the what. What are we going to do, or what do
Mhm.
we want
Oh,
to
oh,
do?
yes. Good. I was
Right?
afraid you were asking me what, and I thought,
No, no,
uh-oh,
no,
uh-oh.
no. You start with the what are we going to do? What do we need to do?
Yes.
And so many times, I always looked at the end point. Okay, well, I success is this, and then now how do we get there?
Okay.
Okay, success, it gives you this, this, and this, and that's the success point. That's my end point. How do we get there is all the fun stuff that's in between. That's really cool, and
Yeah.
that's what's correct. It's not all or nothing. You don't just throw everything in there and oh, it's all or nothing. No, you have to be. It's calculated. It really is.
Strategic. Yes.
Yes. Sometimes you can find yourself in a downward spiral, so you have to disengage and rethink. Don't just keep going down there. As my son likes to remind me, Dad, that's the definition of idiot.
Oh,
Doing the
keep
same
doing
thing
what you're
over and over,
doing. Yes. Yeah.
expecting a different result. Yes.
Yep.
Gosh, having the self-efficacy, the confidence in yourself to move forward, is what sets some of us apart from others. And there's risk factors that come into play. Some would say, some would shy away when it gets hard or gets tough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you find, as they say, you separate the wheat from the chaff.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets
Mm-hmm.
tough, the tough get
Tough
going.
get going. Right.
Well, when it gets tough, the great person who is good at what they do continues to keep going, knowing that there are going to be rough edges.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a quote that I like. Oh, look at this. I'm doing a quote here.
Good.
And I think it's from Langston Hughes. I remember this from years
Oh.
ago. He said, if you want to go, you have to know you want to go.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, all right, so I have jumped out of this airplane. Okay. And if I know I want to go, I better pull this ripcord so that the chute opens and I land. Because right now it's not the time to say, "Oh, I don't want to do this," because I'm halfway
Right.
down.
Right. Right.
Yes, it's kind of fun. And there's some tools. I ran across some tools to
Oh,
help
good.
us
Okay.
make those kinds of choices. There's risk analysis, force field analysis, the 6 thinking hats, and SIP cubed. Have you heard of any of those?
I have heard of all 3 of the 4 of those.
Okay, which one is the one you haven't heard of?
Number 2.
Number 2, force field analysis.
However, I like the title. It sounds like
Yes.
Star
Oh,
Trek, Star Wars.
okay.
Right.
Think of force field. Hold your arm out in front of you where your elbow is bent and your arm is at a 90-degree angle with your elbow to your tip of your fingers in front of you. See that line?
Yes.
Okay. Now the force field analysis, your arm in front of you is that force field. If you put 6 arrows on either side of that, that's giving balance, correct? Equilibrium. Okay. And the arrows are all the same length. So 6 arrows on the right side of your arm, 6 arrows on the left side of your arm, and they're all pushing with the same amount of force and pressure. All right. So everything is in balance.
Okay.
Well, what do you think happens if you take away one of those arrows from either side?
Then your balance is drawn towards that weaker side.
Exactly. So force field analysis is you're trying to alleviate the pressure on one side and move it to the other side to help it move.
To steer it in other words.
Exactly. And you do that with your team, and that's through, experience and through exercise and through discussion and through alternative kinds of things that you can do, and say, well, what if we do this? And people say, oh, okay, I like that. And then they move from the right side to the left side, and you move it. And now what's that called is, once it gets into as far to the right or left as you want it to go, then you have balance again. You say, okay, we can stop there. And now it's in equilibrium again. So what we have done is the force field says you unfreeze it, you move it, and then you freeze it again. And that's force field analysis in a nutshell.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the proverb, and I'm not sure which country or which origin this came from, but thinking about it does not cook the rice.
No, it does not.
Yes. I'm sorry. Anyway, so how about you? I talk too much.
Oh, well, it's because you're excited, which is exciting. So, but you've reminded me that I have some quotes as well.
Oh,
I wondered if it was Confucius who said that, and I'm mindful of the time here. But if it was Confucius who talked about cooking the rice, he also said it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop.
Oh, okay.
So keep going.
Yes.
T.S. Eliot said, only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. And I think about Wilbur and Orville Wright again and flying the plane, as you talked about that. So Oscar Wilde, he always has something funny to say. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. I
I'm
think I
probably
have
the
fit.
latter.
I was
I'm
going to say,
probably the
I
latter.
think I have fit both of those categories. And then finally, Martin Luther said, even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree today.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I love your quotes. Your
Oh,
quotes are
thank you.
always cool. They're always so good.
Well, I spend some time looking for those that resonate to me. So thank you. I'm glad they do for you as well.
All right. And and looking at the personal side, again, you have to go with a plan. And as young teenagers, we all kind of went with the plan. Okay, I'm graduating high school. Am I going to college or am I not going to college? Am I going to get a job? And it's that in itself is a plan.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and how long does it take to get a 4-year college degree? 20 years ago it was 4 years. Now it could be it can be accelerated, but 20 years ago it was 4 years. So you knew
Right.
that you were going there for 4 years. So plan accordingly.
Right.
Right? Um, Jobs. We're always going after jobs, always going after relationships. Ooh, I like that young lady. Or the young lady said, I like that young guy, or
Hmm.
whomever, whatever. But you have to plan. And sometimes halfway through the plan, things could happen. You go, oh, I need to change my mind, but that's okay. Gosh. Ah,
Wayne, how
and
are we doing on time?
we are at 26 minutes and 12 seconds. So thank you very much.
Whoa. Yeah.
I will stop there. I have a lot more to say, but I will
I
stop there
know. I
and
know.
leave it to you, my friend.
Well, I will answer the first trivia question was who owns the go.com web address? And I thought for sure you would know this. Disney.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay. And
Okay. And how about your question?
and how old is the game
Oh,
of Go?
yeah.
They say on the it says some estimates are as high as 4,000 years,
Wow.
but they have certainly have credence to know that it's at least 3,000 years old.
Okay. Wow.
So very cool.
Very cool.
Anyway, thanks, Sheila. All righty. We are at 27.
I want to say thank you, folks, for listening today. We appreciate you. And thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye. See you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.